This is American Ground Radio. I'm Stephen Parr with Louis R. Avalone.
What a fantastic 4th of July weekend. I mean, what a time to honor this country.
Are you just talking about the 4th of July show, the special that we did?
Yeah, well, that was great.
I mean, that was pretty good. I just think it was on stations all across the country. It was great.
So this past Sunday, was our birthday as Americans.
Yeah.
You know, and we deserve a lot of extra attention, more than just a card or cake or ice cream. We need to make sure that we are surrounded by people who love this country and want the best for us, because right now we aren't. We aren't teaching other people how to treat us well as Americans. Those who burn our nation's flags, who disrespect our flag, disrespect our national anthem, attempt to rewrite the history of our nation, they get accolades from the media. They get endorsement deals from woke corporations.
Nike.
And instead of treating our nation with dignity and honor, they just want to apologize incessantly for all of the flaws, the alleged flaws, and God only knows that we as a people are not perfect.
No, but you don't need to make stuff up. That's what the 1619 Project's done. That's what the New York Times has done. They're just flat out lying about what America is and what she represents in the long history of the world. There are no countries perfect. America certainly is not perfect, never will be perfect, because we're made up of imperfect people, but we're just better than every other country that's ever been. But when you just start making up lies about what we've done wrong, I don't mind if you bring up how, we've fallen short in the past, but when you just start making up flat out lies about it, how can you call yourself a patriot?
And I'm telling you, the left pimps out their patriotism every chance they get. Patriotism is not something you can just pick up and put down when it's convenient. But for the left, whenever it serves their agenda, they start talking about patriotism. But they're silent. They're absolutely silent about all the folks in this country and around the world who want to spread anti-American ideology into every area of our life. The fact is, too many elected officials retreat immediately when they're confronted by political correctness or anti-Americanism. I mean, if anything, our elected officials, they're charged with the responsibility of protecting our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They ought to be the ones on the front line saying, look, you're not going to disrespect this country. Yes, you've got the First Amendment right in order to do so.
Sure, but their job is to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And how can you do that when you're just flat out lying about America?
If you're trying to rewrite our nation's history.
Right. Or you're actually trying to rewrite the Constitution by just changing the meaning of the words that are in the Constitution.
And there's a minimal level of patriotism that is essential to preserving liberty.
Absolutely.
At some point, when you just don't give a damn about your country, how do you preserve the Constitution of this country? How do you protect? How do you defend? How do you make the argument that it's worth protecting in the first place?
It won't be worth your effort.
Instead of learning to love America, look at all the students, our youth, who are learning to hate America.
And themselves. When you tell an entire generation of kids that are white that because they're white, they're automatically racist and there's just nothing you can do about it. And don't try asking black people how to stop being racist, because that's racist too. You tell an entire generation of kids that they're racist because they're white. What are you doing to those kids?
Yeah, well, they're learning. So what do you think that progressive educational agenda is accomplishing?
It's accomplishing not just the hatred of the country, but a self-loathing that's unhealthy.
Absolutely. And again, the left pimps out their patriotism. It's like Joe Biden has used patriotism when it suits his agenda. When he was vice president, he said, it's time to be patriotic, time to jump in, time to be part of the deal, time to help America get out of the rut. He was talking about Americans paying higher and higher federal income taxes.
Oh, higher taxes.
Higher taxes is patriotism.
Okay.
Michelle Obama, when old President Obama was running for office as a candidate, she said, for the first time in my adult life, I'm proud of my country.
Which means she had never been a patriot before then.
But see, none of that is patriotic to me. What Biden said, what Obama said, Michelle Obama, what Colin Kaepernick does, what these Olympians do that are competing on the United States Olympic team.
No,
that's
that's
not
not
patriotism to me.
That's not. I agree.
Patriotism is love or devotion to one's country. Do you only feel patriotic when your candidate gets elected to the White House?
See, try that with your spouse. You're only going to be in love with your spouse
when she's pleasing you,
right?
Or he is pleasing you,
right? I thought your spouse. You took that for good times and bad, right? Didn't you? In richness and poorness. In that part of the
that's called love. That's
right.
called a marriage.
Yes,
that's called a commitment.
Yes, that's devotion,
and that is what patriotism should be. That's what you should be demonstrating regarding your country. So when Biden comes out today and says that it's patriotic to get vaccinated, it's like, really? You've remained silent every time someone lights up the American flag.
So singing the national anthem, standing for the national anthem, that's not patriotic, but getting the vaccine shot is?
Take a listen.
Please get vaccinated. It makes a big difference. As I said, it's a patriotic thing to do.
Patriotic thing to do.
That's
what my dad told me.
Here's what he said. We need to go community by community, neighborhood.
Oh, I have that. You want to hear that one?
Let's hear it.
Now we need to go to community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, and oftentimes door to door, literally knocking on doors to get help to the remaining people protected from the virus.
So it's patriotic when the government comes knocking on your door telling you to get a medical procedure that you don't necessarily want?
Who is we? When he says we need to go community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, and door to door.
That's the federal government. He's planning on having the federal government go. You know what? Maybe Joe Biden was just confused. Maybe, in his added dementia, maybe that's not really what he meant.
Well, you could certainly make that argument. But, you talk about secret police. I mean, that's what this feels like.
Yeah. Secret
police, secret courts, secret government agencies, surveillance.
Right.
So they already know who doesn't have the vaccine.
That's what's sad. And by the way, I was being facetious because Jen Psaki, his press secretary, said the same thing. Here she is.
The president will outline 5 areas his team is focused on to get more Americans vaccinated. 1, targeted community by community door-to-door outreach.
Targeted door-to-door. So the federal government knows the addresses of people who haven't gotten vaccinated?
I mean, this sounds like a secret police. And, a secret police
is not patriotic.
Is the hallmark of every authoritarian regime from the Roman Empire to modern-day America. I mean, Mussolini had his secret police. Stalin, right. Hitler's Gestapo. They went door to door ferreting out dissidents and other political enemies of the state. I mean, does any of this sound authoritarian to you? Does any of this sound even legal?
Every bit of it sounds authoritarian. None of it sounds legal, and none of it sounds patriotic.
No. And if we want our next generation of Americans to love this country as much as we do, we've got to teach our children early where we've been, so that they'll better understand where we can go and not just how to pimp out their patriotism for their own political gain.
Let's get to the top 3 things you need to know before tomorrow. Well, Russian hackers appear to have attacked thousands of small businesses over the weekend. A group calling R Evil is being blamed for the ransomware attack, which took down computer systems of mostly small businesses in 17 countries, including the U.S. Last month, President Joe Biden gave Russian President Putin a list of 16 crucial infrastructure industries that were off limits and that the U.S. would respond if Russian hackers attacked again. But small businesses don't appear to have been on that list.
So when he was asked today in a press conference about this subject, he said, and I quote, "I feel good about our ability to be able to respond." And that was after he had to refer to his notes to know what the question was about. That reminds me of what Ronald Reagan said. The most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government, and I'm here to help."
Second thing you need to know before tomorrow, TC Energy, the Canadian company which was building the Keystone XL pipeline, is seeking damages from the U.S. government of $15 billion. Last Friday, the company filed paperwork in accordance with the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Free Trade Agreement to recover economic damages resulting from the revocation of the Keystone XL project's presidential permit. TC Energy added that it lost more than $15 billion as a result of the U.S. government's breach of its NAFTA obligations.
Well, it's not just American jobs that were lost. It's not just private business interests that were lost.
Right.
The government of Alberta, Canada, you know how much they invested in the XL pipeline?
I don't know.
$1.3 billion, and they lost every cent of that investment when it was canceled by Joe Biden.
Third thing you need to know before tomorrow is a violent weekend this 4th of July across the country. More than 230 people were shot and killed in cities. In Chicago alone, 82 people were shot with 14 killed. There were mass shootings in New York, Cincinnati, Dallas, and Fort Worth. But many stories written about the violence this weekend point out fewer people were killed this year than last.
You know, this is all playing right into the hands of the Democrat Party. You know, Nancy Pelosi has refused to reopen the Capitol to visitors, school groups, families, anyone wanting to see the legislative branch in action. She won't even allow a concert on Capitol grounds, which is ordinarily done on the 4th of July.